Research methods in wargaming. Writing a research outline. Now, last week we selected a research question and you established a thesis for your Homeland Security issue analysis. You narrowed a broad topic down into a research question, then you wrote a thesis statement plotting a path for your paper. Your next step is further defining your direction. You're establishing a theoretical path. You do this by writing a research outline. There are several different ways that you can get to most destinations, and writing a paper is no different. We spoke or mentioned in week 1 about infrastructure security. We'll use that as an example. Many people believe we should have enhanced security at infrastructures, dams, power plants, substations, and there are valid arguments for that. The question is, how do we do that? Who should be responsible for that security? You might say it should be the power company or it should be the federal government. Well, each one of these answers poses more questions. If it's the power company, do they have the right to increase their bills to pay for the security? In some states, that's not allowed. If the government's going to pay for it or provide it, how would they do that? Are they going to use federal law enforcement agents? Are we going to use military? So these are the types of questions that you're going to have to ask from a theoretical sense. Some questions are going to be easy, like driving on 40 between Nashville and Knoxville. Other ones might be a little more complicated, like driving into downtown Miami. Of course, if you drive into downtown Miami, once you're downtown, then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, where do I go now? So there's a certain amount of anticipation and trial and error that goes along with this. This entails a lot of scratch work, plotting things out. I believe I mentioned in the objectives I talked about a lot of the best research outlines start on bar napkins, but that's literally how you're going to do it. You're going to plot out how this paper is going to go. What are you going to talk about? What theoretical aspects? You don't need a ton of information to do this. You just need to understand what your own thought process is and write it down and follow it. I know a lot of times you're going to start out with a legal pad just like this, and perhaps by the time it's over, it looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. And that's fine, as long as you go ahead and have a finished product. Everyone knows, you walk back into the kitchen of some gourmet restaurants, you're going to see tons of dirty dishes and a lot of disarray, but what counts, of course, is the end result. This is no different. A few points, though, about your research outline. It should be divided into 3 large parts: introduction, body, conclusion. That's for your benefit. You need to make sure that the introduction remains the introduction, the body remains the body, and the conclusion remains the conclusion. This is a good reference point when you actually start writing it. Your research question and thesis need to be included in both the introduction and the conclusion, kind of, again, introducing it and concluding it. There are countless examples of where people begin writing large manuscripts, and by the first page, many people might be left wondering, okay, what's the point? You need to get to the point of what your question and thesis are early. Then, of course, in the end, you need to tie everything together. If you neglect either part, your paper will not have consistency. Make sure you include parts of your work that are required, meaning the literature review, which serves as your background, as well as the wargaming and case study. Now, you'll not have to have the text and information to fill out these 2 sections, but you need them so you can illustrate the argument behind your thesis and map it out. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to contact me via telephone or email. My contact information is located on Blackboard.